All right, so your hands kind of correlate with that. So if you have a steeper shoulder turn with, say, a pitching wedge, all right, the hands are not going to be as deep at the top of your backswing versus a driver. Welcome back to Danford Golf. Today we're going to talk about the depth of your hands at the top of your backswing because it's a big influence on your transition down into impact, which we know is the most important part of the golf swing. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already subscribing to our channel. Give us a thumbs up. Those are always appreciated. Helps more people kind of find us. And then we'll talk about the hands at the top of your backswing. And this should really clear up a lot of things that you might be struggling with. The hands at the top of your backswing are really important. All right, they're the first thing that we're going to talk about on how to find where the hand should be at the top of your backswing, or really talk about how your shoulders should turn to make sure your hands are going to the right position. So how your shoulders turn, as the club is shorter, the shoulders will turn steeper, and of course as the club gets longer like a driver, the shoulders will turn a little flatter. All right, so your hands kind of correlate with that. So if you have a steeper shoulder turn with, say, a pitching wedge, all right, the hands are not going to be as deep at the top of your backswing versus a driver. I'll make sure that I put some images up there of other golfers to kind of explain how that works. But right now I have a 7-iron in my hand. All right, so if I get into my posture and I turn my shoulders correctly, which basically I should be turning right on top of my spine, all right, that's what we're looking for. So when you go from there, if I turn my shoulders correctly and I get my hands to the top, all right, they're going to go straight down, and I'll move away from the camera here in a second. So basically it's going to be on my ankle, or basically over where my shoestrings would be. So that is done if my shoulders are turned correctly, all right? And that is where your hand should really be at the top of your backswing. Of course, the driver, since my shoulders will be a little bit taller because my body will be taller because I'm holding it away from me, my hands will get a little bit deeper, okay? But you gotta make sure that you're turning your shoulders correctly, or you're gonna really just kind of fake it to the top, all right? So here's some of the issues that I see with common golfers. Let's start with the slice, all right? Slicers, they tend to not turn their shoulders very much, right? And they tend to just kind of lift the club straight up. So they're gonna look like their club at the top is almost in front of the tips of their shoes. Some of the people are trying to get the hands really high because that's what they've been told, and then they're gonna come straight down because they never turn their shoulders. So for those slicers out there, the first thing that I want you to do is you're gonna actually work on getting your hands deeper than what you ever thought you should. So when you get to the top of your swing, all right, this will help you turn your shoulders also. I want you to feel like the club gets way back here, so it's gonna feel like it's off of your ankle. All right, one of the most important things to start off with is you need a big shoulder turn, and if the hands have to get that deep, that's okay. Because then it is usually harder. You might still go over the top if you lead with your body, all right, but it's going to be a little bit less, just because your hands get so deep, they turn more. If you just lift your arms up, it's really easy then to turn through it, come over the top, and really struggle with slicing the golf ball. So if you're somebody who struggles with that right now, all right, first off, I would say really work on feeling like your right shoulder gets behind your head, all right, and then it's okay in the beginning to feel like your hands and your arms kind of get flat across your chest and your hands get really deep. So they're gonna feel like it's off of the ankle. That's okay. All right, so that is a fix for the slicer. Now everybody else, all right, let's say we don't struggle with the slice, but we struggle with getting our hips open at impact, okay? If you get your hands really deep, that's a big move to really try to get your hips to open up a lot, right? That's why we see so many pros on tour and stuff, their hands get to the right spot, their shoulders turn correctly, right? It's much easier if I turn my shoulders correctly, get my hands to the top, and then to let the hands drop and let the hips open into impact. So if you're somebody who struggles really with getting your hips open, you might check and see if your hands are too deep at the top of your backswing. All right, the other thing is if you're turning your shoulders correctly but your hands are still getting deep, all right, you're going to find that you get stuck a lot. And when you get stuck, you're usually going to lose your posture and have to try to flip your hands. all right? So if you are a golfer who really struggles with blocks and hooks, and then when they time it well, they really hit it well, your hands might be too deep on top because you're getting stuck. And you get stuck, you turn well, you get stuck, and then the club gets stuck behind you, all right? So it's really important to make sure you turn your shoulders correctly, get the club at the right position on top, make sure it basically is right through your shoestrings. That's kind of where I like it. A little back is okay. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. And there, it helps you turn your shoulders, helps you drop the club down really nice. All right, just makes you open your hips. And it's just gonna make everything easier on your life, all right? So those are our two things to work on with the top of your backswing. If you're a slicer, maybe try to get a little bit deeper. If you're somebody who struggles with opening their hips, try to get the club a little bit more in front of you. But the main goal is make sure that you turn your shoulders correctly. Even if you don't have a big shoulder turn, let's say you're kind of limited, okay? Don't try to get the hands further back just to make sure that you feel like you have a bigger shoulder turn. It's okay if you have a small shoulder turn and the hands kind of stop there. At least they're in a good position to deliver it back down, right? Don't make it harder than it has to be. So I hope these little tips help you today. Make sure you subscribe. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here soon.